going on? Welcome to The Dirty. I am your host, Eric Berry. Please do me a favor and subscribe to the podcast, comment, like, all that good stuff. 1 month ago, I moved to Philly. And I'm just going to say, so far, I'm loving it. So instead, what I think I'm going to do is actually tell you some of the bad things I've discovered so far, and then get into the good stuff, because I just think that there's so much more of that. There's a ton of U.S. cities that are dealing with this, but the heroin problem in Philadelphia is the most visible that I've seen of any of the cities that I've lived in. And I've lived in San Francisco. I've probably seen 4 or 5 people right in front of me nodding off. And I'm not even in a particularly bad area. But if you go further up north into proper Kensington, I'm told it's just like zombie land up there. Just walking 10 minutes to the gym, I've run across needles in the streets. And much like any large city, when you're near a public transportation line, a metro line, something like that, there is a bad bathroom smell, because I think people are pissing out there in the streets and they are dirty. That said, positive thing, there's public transportation where people can be pissing.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Unlike, say, Austin, where I lived in, there's people pissing in the streets, but zero public transportation. That said, I've personally never felt unsafe. Even when I have seen these things, it's usually just makes you feel very sad for whatever these people are going through. Next up, the comedy scene, which I think is very good. However, I've noticed, at least as far as the open mics are concerned, no matter what time you get there, the order that you sign up in makes no difference. It's really about who you know, the hosts, schmoozing with them, and getting put up early on the lineup. Otherwise, you are most likely going to end up in a situation where you're waiting 3.5, 4 hours in a bar. People will have left by then, so that you can, tell your 3 minutes of dick jokes, which is depressing in general. Philly strikes me as a very blue-collar city, kind of a more blue-collar, cheaper version of Bushwick, Brooklyn, at least the parts that I've been to, or probably just Brooklyn in general. With that said, a lot of people may not have a college degree. I've met several friends who come from military backgrounds, and this isn't anything against either of those two things or to sound elitist, but like on a romantic level, I know that if I'm looking for someone longer term, I just feel like maybe there's not quite that connection. It's a very like salt of the earth kind of town. Something else that has been frustrating here is it seems like it's impossible to get a doctor's appointment. I was trying to get a gastroenterologist appointment here. I have health stuff going on, and that's very important. And I kid you not, they said that the next appointment wasn't for over 2 years from now, which is crazy. The next place I called, so they weren't booking anything till May. So such is the state of healthcare in the United States. Let's try to change that, people, no matter who you're voting for, okay? Yes, Medicare for all. I should not have to go into debt or have to not be able to get doctor's appointments because I have to pay $350 for a consultation. So let's get to the good things.
That's the good stuff.
I say town because that's what it feels like. Even though Philly is a huge city with some population I'm going to Google and put up here, everyone seems to kind of know everyone in a very good way. I was talking to my sister today, and I described it like if a church would do like community events, but that's kind of what the city is. Or if a modern city could exist, but before cell phones were invented. Of course, people here have cell phones. Per the blue collar thing, I'd say the overwhelming amount of people that I meet don't have iPhones because iPhones are more expensive. But you don't see that in some other large cities, right? The comedy scene, and I have not been booked on a proper show. I've only done open mics. However, that said, the level at which most of the open micers are at is so far above and beyond some of the crazy stuff I've seen at open mics in other cities, including Austin, where I just was, and which has kind of been lauded as this new capital of comedy. I think your average comedian here in Philadelphia is so much further ahead than your average comedian in Austin. Both cities have tremendously hilarious people, but current Austin resident Shane Gillis,
The shooter would be coming out and be like, sit down. You're gay.
Started here in Philadelphia. And I think that speaks volumes about the level of comedian you can get out of here. I don't own a car. And so far, with a touch of Uber, I've been able to get everywhere I need to in the city because of the public transportation and because of the density of the city, where I can walk to a CVS, I can walk to a grocery store, I can walk to a dry cleaners, I can walk to a nail salon, cafes, bars, restaurants, and anything I can't walk to. There's buses, which I've taken, and there is the metro system, which I have taken. And works pretty good as far as I can tell. I'm still feeling out kind of what housing costs are, but it definitely feels like maybe a place like Austin, you could find cheaper rent or property, but you'd have to live so much further outside the center of the city and need a car in order to make that happen, that on average, housing costs feel cheaper to me here just because of the accessibility of all the places. Food and drink definitely feels cheaper than Austin to me. There are bars out here, shout out to Dirty Frank's, that have $4 beer and shot specials, as they're called here, a citywide. And almost every bar has some sort of citywide special, frequently coming in at $5. That's crazy. The main thing that I've noticed here is how nice everybody is. And I need to be specific when I say nice. They're not necessarily warm, but they're very inviting and welcoming. So they might not say, "Oh my God, yeah, I would love to have you over for a picnic tomorrow. And of course, they might not say it like that. They might say, "Yeah, don't be retarded. You're going to come to my fucking picnic tomorrow." But you're getting invited to a picnic. I cannot go out. And when I say go out, I mean stand at a bus stop, go to the pharmacy without meeting someone and talking to them. They're very talkative in a very good way.
When you're a big star like that, the rules are different. Like, if you've ever been to the Philadelphia Mummers Parade on New Year's, have you ever been to that, Colin Juice?
No, I have not.
You should go. It's terrible.
That reminds me of an era before cell phones were invented, when it wasn't a crime to go up to a stranger and strike up a conversation or acknowledge that there were other human beings there. When you go out to places, you don't see everyone glued to their phones in the way that I have in almost every other city in the world, certainly in the US. I went to Dirty Frank's, the bar that I mentioned. I went to their 31st annual picnic, which the fact that a dive bar is even having a community picnic is already crazy. We're not in a small little town. They do call this, I think, the biggest small town you'll ever be in, or something like that, right? Small town vibes, big city. A bar having a community picnic. There was a pie eating contest.
I'll take the 10.
Go, Josh. Go, Josh.
There was a 3-legged race.
Oh, again!
They always tie.
That's just nuts. It's like, what is this, 1962 in some small southern town? No, it's 2024 here. That was so refreshing. And when I went there, it was $20 to get in, cash only. I only had 18 without missing a beat. This woman next to me, she's like, "Oh, I got your $2. This guy wanted to sell me raffle tickets. I didn't have cash. He took out a $20 bill out of his wallet, put it in the thing. He said, there's your raffle tickets. They gave me a ride home after that. The owner, Jody, talked to me for like 20 minutes, like a therapy session. And I mean, I started to like almost cry. You just don't see that anymore, And then I got cash and I went to go pay that guy back. And he's like, "No, your cash is no good with me." Like, I actually feel like I'm going crazy because I keep talking about how nice it is. It feels so strange, but it is true. It's like they're treating you like your family.
I long for a simpler point of view on this wide open sea of blue.
They also offer great haircuts every third Wednesday. The Barbershop Quartet here. What's your band name?
The Younger Brothers.
In fact, I've had 3 different groups of people tell me that I am family here now in Philadelphia. So, city of brotherly love for sure. Combining all that friendliness and inviting, welcoming behavior one thing that is tough for someone like me is I'm bad at saying no to things. So constantly being invited out, that's something I'm wrestling with and needing to make sure I rein in. So beware. But, when you're single and you move to a new city and you don't know anybody, like, very good problem to have.
Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name.
My only theory, because Philadelphia seems like such a cool city, is that because of its proximity to New York, to DC, to these other large cities, it kind of falls in the shadow, particularly of New York, right? It's considered like a second option to New York, or if even that.
If we all go for the blonde, we block each other. Not a single one of us is going to get her. So then we go for her friends. But they will all give us the cold shoulder because nobody likes to be second choice. But what if no one goes for the blonde? We don't get in each other's way, and we don't insult the other girls. That's the only way we win.
But I think if Philadelphia was in any other location, kind of by itself, I mean, part of the reason people look up to Austin so much is because it's in Texas and it's kind of the coolest city in Texas, because there's not terribly cool cities, no offense, but in Texas. But if Philadelphia was in Texas, I think it would put Austin to shame, to be perfectly honest with you. Part of the reason people hold Chicago up as a city is because it's in Illinois. For my money, I would rather take the trip to Milwaukee or Madison. But so I think that Philadelphia's stature has been diminished just because of its location next to New York. I'll report back as I continue to learn more about this city. Of course, it's still very early on and things could change. But so far, I absolutely love Philadelphia. And it feels like one of the few cities, in fact, maybe the only one in the United States, with a good comedy scene, public transport, and that's reasonably affordable. Let me know what you think in the comments and what your experience has been, or if you're thinking of moving to Philly. Again, please subscribe to the show, and I'll be back next week. I might have a guest next week. I've been meeting comedians here, and they might be coming on. So we'll see how that goes. Until then, keep it dirty.
Time I see you falling, I get down on my knees and pray.